So a warm welcome from Mindset Maps International, which is the company that Robert Dilts and I started. The story is going back all the way 8 years ago when we started doing some research. And that research has led to the creation of the Mindset Maps web application, and also it has led to many articles. We are currently working on a book. And so this particular webinar that we are having right now is going to introduce a little bit the story around, mindset and its power. We are going to kind of look at, how we created that application. And we are also going to look at what is this Mindset Maps coach certification. We do have an interesting audience here because we have people who are already quite involved in this work. So I'm welcoming some of our partners from various countries. I can see Max from Italy and Yannick from France. We do have some people who are already actually certified coaches, like Luigi from Italy, or Elena, who's been also on some of our teams as a resource person. I'm also seeing Michelle from Switzerland, who is currently enrolled in the program. So welcome. And I also see, quite a few of you, Natalie Lambert from Canada, also another coach who has already gone through the program. But I also see people who have participated in other programs, like I can see John Rico, who was in our generative consulting program. And I see some people who are enrolled in maybe the French program. So welcome to everybody. And, let me start. I'm going to share some slides with you on and off. But this is our starting point, a discovery into the power of mindset, and also a discovery into this Mindset Maps coach certification and what it is. And, I want to start by just acknowledging that today we already have a number of international partnerships in the world. And so we have a partnership in Japan, in Greece, in France, in Italy, and in Germany, and in South America, Mexico, Central America. So, these are some of the people that are representing those partners. And so they are very precious to us. And I just wanted to acknowledge them here at the beginning. And then, I wanted to say, in terms of what is the vision for this work? So the vision for the work that we started with Robert, as I mentioned 8 years ago, was that we really want to belong to a world where work is meaningful and business is actually something that serves the future of humanity. Because if you think about it, we spend more time working than anything else. And as a result, work has become extremely important. But also work and business has become extremely powerful in the world. So in order to influence the business world, we felt like we really need to do something which cuts through the chase to the mindset of people, which ultimately decides what people do. So, the mission of this work is that we want to help leaders and entrepreneurs and all those people who support those leaders and entrepreneurs to become more and conscious, inspiring leaders. So the people who support conscious and inspiring leaders, they are the coaches, they are the consultants. So we wanted to support them with something very, very specific and concrete that can help influence mindset. And so, today in this webinar, we're going to talk a little bit about the power of the mindset and why is it so essential. I'm going to pay more attention to the idea of the intrapreneur mindset, which is something that is a special area or a special topic around mindset. We're going to journey a little bit through the whole mindset maps theory, so to speak, and then we'll talk about why the tool, what makes this tool unique, what are some applications. If you come and become part of this program, what's going to change for you and what will you get out of it? And basically just really covering what does it mean to become a Mindset Maps certified coach. So let me move to, often if you go and pitch to an investor, or if you go and try to suggest a solution to somebody, they're going to ask you, what is the problem that you're solving? So I say that we have a big problem, a learning immunity problem in the world. And those of you who are involved in coaching and consulting, you probably already know this, right? That there's so much learning out there, e-learning, massive corporate programs inside organizations. They're spending immense amount of money on learning, but there's an immunity to learning. We find that people that are already hungry and they're the best people, they may be picking up something as they're going through these programs, but the people that organizations would really like to change and influence and take them to the right direction, they're staying the same as a result of the programs, even though they go through all this learning. And that's what I call the learning immunity problem. There's something about the mindset that doesn't let people to pick up new skills and really change. So, when we talk about the problem we are solving with this whole Mindset Maps approach, well, we know that mindsets are actually impacting how we feel, how we think, how we respond. And we know this from research from Carol Dweck at Stanford, right? We know that if you teach a growth mindset to people and then teach them skills, leadership skills, they will be much better at applying those skills than if you just kind of try and teach them leadership skills, which is what most programs, most companies do. We also know from the Boston Consulting Group, for example, that only 30% of business transformation efforts actually succeed. So there are all these companies out there right now as we're here, and they're all trying to change things and introducing massive programs for agility, for more innovation, for more engagement. And 70% of them, check this out, 70% of them are going to fail. So what we do is we provide a unique tool and a method for conscious leaders to really visualize and work with mindset in a very intentional way. And if you are a coach who works with a team or with individuals or a consultant, we give you that tool. That's what we teach in this program. By the way, I just wanted to mention here also at the beginning, as we began to talk about more why this is so essential, why mindset is so important. Well, first of all, it's going to determine whether there's learning that's going to take place. But more on a basic level, it is really basically the engine, the configuration behind our actions. And in any given moment, right now, as you're sitting here and listening to this program and this webinar, there is a whole amount of psychological phenomena going on in you. You perceive, you think, you like, you dislike, you process, you memorize, and all of that, it is scientifically proven that it's heavily influenced by your mindset. So if we can help somebody to come to an optimal configuration or reconfiguration of their mindset so that it actually supports them to achieve a certain goal, we do a lot for that person. We actually offer a lot. So just for a moment, stopping the sharing, if I find the right button here. So for those of you who are coming into this work and you're kind of wondering, okay, so why mindset? Why care about, you know, a mindset map certification? Why learn a mindset map application? But you haven't met me yet. You're probably here because you're connected somehow to the NLP world, and you've maybe heard of Robert and his work and his books. I just want to say that the reason the mindset maps exist today is coming through a partnership that we have established together about 8 years ago, where we discovered that, you know, I was coming out of the business world after 20 years of being a leader. And 20 years of being a leader, I spent trying to influence mindsets. And 20 years I spent trying to get people to think more like an entrepreneur inside the organizations that we were in. So I worked for some pretty big companies. You know, one of them was Deutsche Telekom, and they have tens of thousands of people around the globe. You know, they're doing extremely well, but they have big issues with mindset and influencing people to be more open to change. And so, you know, as a leader, I was looking for ways and methods and learning programs and training programs and coaching programs, and found that there was very little out there that would really help people to work with mindset. So that's when we kind of met with Robert, and we started to extend a research program, which he was already involved in, which was related to success factor modeling, basically to this idea of, you know, what are the key success factors for organizations, for entrepreneurs, but not just any kind of organizations or entrepreneurs, but people who are purpose-driven. So the context of our work is that we say that we don't want to work with anybody. We want to work with people who kind of care for the world, and they care for the future of the world. They care for communities. They care for an environment. They care for humanity. Those are the people that we want to work with. So anything that you're going to hear in this webinar is related to people who care for those kinds of goals. There are people who don't care for that, and we would love to help them too. But everything we do and talk about, you know, in this approach is related to a purpose-driven, so a purpose and profit-driven approach, which sometimes is called conscious capitalism or conscious leadership, where we are conscious of more than just ourselves. So that's kind of a framework to, you know, my background and where this work makes sense and what type of clients like this kind of work. So let's continue with some of these slides that I wanted to share with you. So for a moment, right at the beginning, I wanted to mention that ultimately, you know, we have come to the realization that we want to build a program, which is currently 6 modules, that really teaches to leaders, entrepreneurs, but primarily to coaches and team coaches and consultants how to work with mindset. So in this 6-module program, we actually go through the core mindsets that I will mention in a few minutes, which are related to 5 core goals that entrepreneurs and leaders set for themselves. Then, you know, we kind of go through the theory behind it. So I already mentioned success factor modeling as the kind of theoretical basis behind this. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And in the second module, that's what we really kind of go through in depth. Then we get to what we call a coaching process, because we realize that it's not enough to create a map. It's not enough to show people, okay, here is what your map looks like. you know that in NLP, we always say the map is not the territory. So one of the things we've done with this tool is we're able to show you what your territory, what your understanding of the territory looks like. You can look at it, but we need a process around this, which you can use in coaching and in team coaching in particular. So that's what we are looking at in the third module. And then we take that and couple it up with 49 different tools. So we also help people not just to realize where they are, right? Like, here is your current mindset, but we also help them to get on a journey and get somewhere. So the fourth module is looking at those tools. Then you come to a session where you basically go through a certification module and you show that you can coach and you can use this methodology and the web app. And then you get into the sixth module where we focus on the team approach, because the first 5 modules is very much about individual work. So how do I work with a leader? And then in the sixth module, we look at, okay, so how do you work with a team mindset? And what is the path? What is the community? You know, what is the system that we've built for coaches? So that's just a glimpse of the system and the program. And we'll be talking about that towards the end much more. Right now, I want to come back to the beginning. So I want to come back to this idea of, okay, so success factor modeling. What was the core finding? So one big finding of success factor modeling, and this is modeling and research, so NLP modeling, but also a lot of interviews with people, purpose-driven leaders and entrepreneurs. So the finding is very clear. How we think really is basically the cause behind the effect, which is the outcomes and the actions. So you got to start with the mindset if you want to influence people's actions and outcomes. And I mentioned that, you know, we actually explore 5 core outcomes in this work. So the 5 core outcomes are financial robustness, meaningful contribution, scalable growth, innovation and resilience, and personal satisfaction. So today, I want to talk a little bit about, again, this idea of the entrepreneur and the intrapreneur. So someone who is inside an organization, an intrapreneur, and the mindset, and what you're seeing on this picture, which is basically the circle of success. So the circle of success comes from this idea that a purpose-driven entrepreneur has 5 areas that they need to focus on in order to succeed. And those 5 areas relate to self and identity. So who I am, who am I, and what do I think is my identity? What do I stand for? What do I love doing? And then that connects to a level, which is the idea of, okay, so if I know who I am and what I love, then I want to bring this out into the world to customers. And I want to bring some kind of a product, and I want to offer it to clients. And that doesn't usually work without partnering up with others. So suddenly I need to think about a team or partners. And it doesn't work if I don't know who my stakeholders are, who are the people that are going to influence, you know, whatever that I'm trying to do in this world. And I need partners and alliances to scale, because if I'm just alone, or if I'm just with a small team, I'm not going to be able to make a bigger difference. So on a simple level, you know, you could think of, for example, one of the people that I worked with, he's a world famous photographer. So it all started with him, you know, as a kid, he was in love with animals, and he was in love with nature, and he would take long walks with his father, and that was his passion. But at some point, you know, he realized that he's really good at taking photographs. but it didn't connect for him for a long time that the two things could be actually connected. So, you know, he loved the animals. He loved to take walks. He was really good at taking photographies and pictures, but he didn't think of doing the two together. So at some point, he realized, oh, I could take pictures of these animals, and that would be fantastic. That would be something that I love doing, and I'm really good at it. So it became kind of a hobby. But one day, you know, he decided that he wanted to, you know, learn, he wanted to go to university. So he started his education and he went to business school. But business school, guess what, was unrelated to his passion. He hated it, right? So one day he connected the dots and he decides, okay, so maybe, you know, I could work for a national preserve. So he changes his major and eventually realizes that, okay, he doesn't want to be an engineer. He doesn't want to work for a preserve and, you know, kind of be connected to nature, but at the same time, be so secluded. He wants to actually live his passion and his vision of changing the world, changing people's view of how they should care for animals. So he develops a sense of a mission that he's the one that's going to have to go out there and change how people think about animals. So he discovers that, you know, in order to influence people, you have to create different types of photography, pictures of animals that are looking at you, looking you in the eye when you look at the photos. So he develops this sense of, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to change laws, you know, protecting animals, hunting laws. But then he realizes I need a team. So he teams up with some people, but he realizes that, okay, you know, he's a small entrepreneur. He needs partners. He needs organizations worldwide that are interested in the same purpose. And then he realizes, you know, that there are so many stakeholders in this. You know, there's the government, there's the local government, there are all kinds of ministries that are involved in creating regulation, there are politicians, there are business people. So as he begins to map out all of his stakeholders, he becomes much more clear on what he wants to achieve. And eventually the guy becomes, you can look him up, his name is John E. Marriott. So Marriott, like the hotel, he becomes one of the most recognized photographers in the world today. And, you know, as I was interviewing him, it was obvious how he used the circle of success and how his mindset played such a big role in getting where he got. So, you know, one of the things that we did in the work with Robert is that we connected this circle of success with certain key elements of the mindset that we have identified in the research. And so we have identified, for example, that one of the very important levels of mindset is what we call the meta mindset. And meta mindset is responsible for this big picture clarity. So it consists of elements like, you know, you just see pictures, icons here, but it consists of, for example, your vision and your direction. It consists of an ambition, a goal. It has to do with your role. So your clarity on what role do you have to play in a team or in your organization or with your business. It contains an element of mission. So you have to be clear on what is this mission that you're on. And it contains also passion. So you have to know what is it that you love. And I was kind of demonstrating to you how it worked for John. And I want to take a big step now and say, okay, so this actually applies inside an organization as well. Because think about it, as a leader, and I'm going to use an example again of somebody that I'm actually working with right now. So she is working in a huge, probably top 100 Fortune 100 company. And her job is currently to she's responsible for changing the ERP system of that company. So they have like 3 or 4 different ERP systems, which is basically enterprise resource planning system, which includes billing and finance and customer care. It's a very important part of their business. And it's a system that controls and influences their entire business. So her job is, you know, to influence thousands of people, influence top management to make the change. She's going to have to select the new system. There's going to be a whole bidding process. You know, so anything I say about her work sounds very businessy, sounds very pragmatic. So you could ask, you know, what does this have to do with identity, vision, mission, role, and ambition? And I tell you, it has everything to do with it, because she has to decide who she wants to be, what's her identity. Is she going to be kind of a policeman, maybe, you know, like a police force that's going to control and critique and ask everybody to, you know, you have to change, you're not doing it right? Or is she going to be an influencer? Or is she going to be a trailblazer that's going to lead the whole organization on a new trail? She has to think about, you know, what is her vision? So at the end, why should people care? Why should people support her? Why should management support her? She's on a mission, but she has to think about how to explain her mission to the rest of the company, to other parts of the company. She needs to put together a team that is dedicated to a mission. She needs to be very clear on her role in this company and in the leadership team, and how she's going to influence finance and HR and the business. So we are actually working through with her what I would call her intrapreneur mindset. So instead of thinking of, oh, I'm an employee, I'm getting paid, you know, X amount of money, I'm being told what to do, and I have this job that was given to me, that she chooses to be sort of, you know, like a pioneer entrepreneur inside the company that's going to get everybody to care for something like changing the ERP system. It doesn't sound like you wake up in the morning and you go, I want to change an ERP system, right? Like you really have to think about this, and you really have to have the right mindset. So her mindset is innovation, you know, her goal is innovation and resilience. And we're helping her to think through, you know, what kind of mindset could support innovation and resilience. So this is how kind of the entrepreneur mindset is actually hugely useful inside an organization, which is kind of my core message that I wanted to share with you today in terms of this idea of mindset influencing actions, and being an entrepreneur inside an organization. Because as an entrepreneur inside an organization, you choose to do things rather than being told to do things. And every organization's dream, when you talk to them, is that we want people that are proactive, that choose to be here, that want to do stuff, that are motivated. But we have people that are tired, that are demotivated, that are virtual, that are at home, that are, you know, not so well motivated. So it all goes back to mindset, as you can probably tell. So in this app, what we did is we have basically identified, and you can see all these little puzzle elements here. We have identified all the key mindset elements for any given goal. And so when you work with a client and the client says, oh, innovation and resilience, that's what I need to make happen, that's my job, then we can really help her. Okay, so here are some of the key elements of mindset that you will need to pay attention to. So in a way, you know, this is kind of one of our favorite ways of showing this, and we can show this for a team or we can show this for an individual. You could, if you look at this image, right, like this is the circle of success, but you could kind of look at it and go, oh, that's a table. That's a round table, right? Like King Arthur and his round table. So who is around the table? And, you know, from success factor modeling, we know that you need to have all these elements, all these types of people. You need market makers, team makers, resourcers, and venture builders. But it's also true for your mind. In your mind, and often, you know, as a coach or a consultant, you are a solopreneur. So you have to have these elements of your mindset there, and you need to be conscious of how you are going to be creating a market, how you are going to be attracting partners, how you are going to be working on processes, how you are going to be developing your team. So that's the art. It's not an easy thing to do, but we have this tool, and we say that this tool is really unique, and for, you know, a number of reasons, at least 4 of them, and we're going to be going through those 4 reasons. So, you know, one reason this is unique is that we have put together an app, a web app. So you go on and you can take an inventory and you get a detailed analysis, a result, and then you also get guidance from a mindset map coach. What is also unique in the tool is that we've built in all the success factor modeling knowledge that I was just referring to. So some of the people that were modeled include Steve Jobs or Richard Branson or Jeff Bezos or Mohamed Yunus or Anita Roddick. And the work continues, by the way, and as we are coming out soon with the book, you know, there's going to be many female women entrepreneurs in that new book. And one of them is going to be, it's kind of close to my heart because I originally come from Hungary. I live in the United States in New York City, but my origin is Hungary. And you probably know that COVID-19, the vaccine that seems to be quite effective for COVID-19 was actually invented by a Hungarian scientist woman who came from Hungary and then ended up in the United States. So she'll be one of the people that we have researched for the book. And, you know, the tool is also unique because it will give you your circle of success in a way. So we will work through your circle of success, this roundtable, which covers these 5 fundamental areas of, you know, self, customers, team, stakeholders, and partners. Now, what we did is we've kind of integrated this circle of success, so the roundtable, with the results of our research. And the results of our research pointed to this understanding that mindset actually has 3 levels. So there's the meta mindset, the big picture clarity, you know, where this sense of this journey. Then there's this habits of success, which are, you know, basically the macro mindset. And these are habits that help you keep going on your journey because it's hard. As Richard Branson said, it's very hard. So you give up unless you have your macro mindset in place. And then there's a little mistake there. There's the micro mindset, which gives you the ongoing priorities, the choices that you make every day and the beliefs around that. So we give people a way to influence those choices as well. And the tool is also unique because it gives you this kind of contrast, this gap analysis of here is my mindset today, here is the ideal mindset for my goal. And these little red circles indicate the areas that I need to work on. But as you can appreciate, it's not something that, you know, I just take a quick look at it and, you know, I just Google map, I use Google Map and I just, you know, Google 53rd Street and then I just go there. You kind of need a guide, and that guide is the Mindset Maps coach. that person who is trained in this methodology and the application and use of the system. So we give a lot of things to both the clients, but also to the coaches. So we don't have time to do a big demonstration here today, but basically the idea is that by the time you work with your coachee, if you are a Mindset Maps coach or a team coach, you have a lot of information. You will have detailed results of the meta, macro, micro mindset. You will see it in various visual presentations and graphs, and it will be pointing to certain very obvious and very interesting and important points. For example, on this page here, you can see that this guy has no sense of direction. So, immediately as a coach, I know that, oh, that's really interesting. Let's focus on that, because without a direction, guess what? You don't tend to arrive on your journey. Also unique, the ability to work with a team. So we don't just have individual reports anymore, but we have these team reports where you can look at a team and say, okay, so, oh, it's very interesting. This team has a lot of passion, but less clarity on the role. And roles are also important. So what does this mean? Why is that? So as a team coach, I have multiple ways of, again, finding the right thing to focus on, and then helping the team to focus on the right thing with the right intervention that I will provide as a team coach. So that's another kind of feature that's important. And finally, also unique is or are the 49 coaching tools that are put into the system, because the idea is not only to identify where you are, identify where you want to be, but there's a path, there is actions that you need to take. And so there are 49 coaching tools that were gathered, and they are helping the coach to use them as potential interventions with your coachee. And also they are ways of basically providing the path to the client to get to where they want to be. So all in all, if we say, what do you get out of the certification? So first of all, it gives you legitimacy and credibility with a well-researched and solid tool, because everybody talks about mindset, but nobody really has specific tools to work with mindset. So we are in a very interesting and unique situation where, businesses use personality profiles, they use all kinds of tools, but there isn't really that much out there for mindset mapping and mindset assessment and development. So you get the legitimacy and credibility to have a tool. And you also have a method and a coaching process. We like to say that this coaching process builds on all the generativity that's in NLP and in generative change, but also brings the measurability aspects, because as you can see, as you've seen, we are showing numbers, figures, ways of measuring mindset. You become part of a community, you get supervision, you get intervision. As you go through these 6 modules, there is already intervision in between and some supervision usually. And basically, one big thing that comes out of this is that you also develop your mindset, because you learn to work with your own mindset initially, and then learn to help others to develop the right mindset. So as you may have seen, but I wanted to just mention it here. So all in all, it's about 30 hours on Zoom. There is supervision. There is, you get 5 premium reports, which are the mindset map reports, which we can use with your customers. You get your own mindset map premium report, of course, so you understand your own mindset. You get a user's manual, which will then have the 49 tools in it. You get to learn those. You become part of this community also, like in the course, And then there's also a larger community. So there's already about 70 people worldwide that are part of this community. And the training fees are $2,000 for this program. The actual learning is, if you want it to be, can go up to as much as 60 hours, because there is a lot of videos that we are also providing. So in addition to the actual work that we do in the sessions, you can do a lot more if you have the appetite. And so those are also available. Let me see. Yeah, so that's kind of that overview where I started. You know, the 6 modules, the theory, the success factor modeling piece, the process, the tools, the actual proof of the putting when you show that you can do this, and then the team approach and the path forward. And these are some of the dates. So we are starting in June and ending in November. Maybe I'm going to take a breath here and stop sharing, and also kind of look at the chat, which I wasn't doing much during the process. Yeah, so yeah, I see the comment about the female leaders. So that's very important to us. Originally, you know, we always say that the reason why there are more men is like, you know, one of my friends said in here in America, he said, you know, I'd like to say, I'd like to refer to gender when I say, you know, one of the presidents of the United States did this or did that, but I don't have to. So we kind of live in this world where the people that have been in top positions, that are well known, tend to be men, and this is really changing, and we want to be facilitating that change too. But at the same time, in the mindset maps, we had to have people that people recognize and know, right? And so unfortunately, the available people, even the person that I said, if I said to you, Katalin Karikó, how many of you knows who Katalin Karikó is? Not too many, probably, right? And she is the one who almost got a Nobel Prize for discovering the messenger RNA, you know, and building it into the COVID-19 vaccine. So again, you know, people, female entrepreneurs are not yet as well known, and so we will do a big step in this book with, you know, positioning some of these people as well, so that we have our part in making them better known. I'm gonna maybe wait a little bit and see if you have some questions. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to, you could put your hand up, and that way signal if you have a question, or you could put your question into the chat. Okay, so I see Marissa has a question. I hope you can unmute yourself, but if you can't, let me know.
Yes, I can. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was really good to see. I really support everything you said, and I do believe in the same vision that you and Robert. Yes, I'm here today because I met Robert when he came to Portugal and I was doing the NLP training. So I was really kind of impressed with his work. 2 questions in my mind.
Yeah.
One is, it does sound a lot only for entrepreneurs, despite I get the message, and I do believe on that people inside organizations, as entrepreneurs, they really need to step up and understand that they can think by themselves. But we need to be realistic, right? You work 20 years, as you said, I worked 20 years also in the big corporations, SBP and Deloitte. And it's like, it's a vision that still is a vision. I would love to contribute for that vision and put people in a more freedom space to speak up and think for themselves and challenge the the kind of normal leadership we currently have. So question, let's keep it simple. What is really the difference behind the work you guys did to develop this tool that is the difference between the work, because I also coach and mentor startup founders here in Portugal, and it's a very different type of people. You know, in fact, a lot of these startup founders, at least in Portugal, it's because that they can't cope to being working all smart people, all brilliant people, and they are just tired to be in these big organizations that they felt, you know, blocked in somehow to really give all the contribution they want to. So what is the difference that you guys did in terms of research work to build on the back of this program that tailors what is really people that are in the organizations versus really the startup founders, which is a different type of community? That is one question. The second question is, have you thought about how can we sell, or which is, what is the, you know, return on investment, how you use the language to go to these leadership in these organizations that are fear of having people that are entrepreneurs inside their organizations, you understand? So it becomes already the return on investment. How is the language? Have you thought about that? How we can go as coach selling this type of program? Because otherwise people are scared, you know, I don't come to work to do therapy or you navigating inside my head. You understand what I'm saying? There is a lot of resistance that I'm sure we're gonna find. So this is the question. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for the questions. So 2 questions. You know, the second question is, okay, so what is the language and you know, how do you position this? And I would come back to, you know, where we started, which is 70% of change initiatives in businesses fail. And, you know, the Boston Consulting Group or McKinsey are not famous for being warm and fuzzy. But when you read, you know, their research, they also identify mindset as one of the biggest barriers, which causes those things to, which cause the change initiatives to fail. So what we are proposing to organizations is that if you're going to spend millions and tens of millions of dollars on change, so you're going to want to change, you know, systems, processes, you're going to want to reorganize, you're going to want to introduce agility in the way you work, then you need to pay attention to mindset and provide a way for the organization so that they buy in and adopt the right beliefs that support the attainment of the change initiatives. And what we can help with is a way to visualize what is the current mindset of, you know, your leadership team, of your middle management team. And we can tell, you know, we can identify that, okay, so if that's the current mindset and we know what the goal is, we'll help you find the right way how to influence that mindset so that people are more bought into the change that you're trying to make happen. So we support with the one element that causes these things to fail. So we are going to help to fix that part. And interestingly, you know, there's a major, so for example, even Deloitte has done a lot of research where they are starting to come out and say that, you know, if an organization has more purpose, more vision, then people are more engaged, then they do better, then they attract investments better. So there is a whole movement, which is what I refer to as conscious capitalism, where organizations are trying to become more conscious. And so to come to your work, I mean, your first question was, okay, so what is the application to organizations? And conscious leadership is really the application. So basically, how do you lead in an organization in a conscious manner? And so in success factor modeling, we have done a significant amount of research and interviews with leaders that are inside organizations, but are considered as conscious leaders because they are purpose driven. And so we are actually going to come out with a third inventory. So there is the individual mindset maps, then there's the team mindset maps, and then there's the conscious leadership inventory, which will have some additional elements. But, you know, we already believe that, you know, like even if you go back to think about the entrepreneur mindset, so it was actually in 1986 that Steve Jobs first said that, you know, the reason Macintosh came alive was because they had entrepreneurs in the organization, and that his idea is that he's going to build a company of entrepreneurs. And so if you now research this, you know, the entrepreneur term is actually a widely used term, but no one knows, like everybody agrees, oh, my entrepreneurs are people who think about business as if it was their own. So they take that kind of responsibility. And we say, you know, yes, and there is a particular mindset behind that, and we know what that is. And are you interested in looking at it? So we provide the actual detailed analysis of what it looks like to have the entrepreneur mindset to an organization. And that is something that they're very interested in, because they're saying, oh, okay, so you could help us to turn my people into more of entrepreneurs? Yes, we could help you with that. So those would be, you know, probably the short answers that I could give right here.
Thank you.
Pleasure. And I see a question from Mitchell about, I can't find the application to take the inventory. So, you know, there is usually a question about the word app. So the word app in our head is mobile app, but there is also what we call a web app, which is basically an online web page where you go, but behind it there is coding, and so it's a web app. It's not something that is in the mobile app store. So you're on the right place in that sense. And I can see that Alina has a question, so I'll hand over to Alina.
Yes, hello, Mickey. Hello, everyone. I'm Alina Tudor, and I'm from Romania. I'm generative coach, and I finished in April. And I'm interested in this work, so I'm in. Thank you very much. And I'm interested if we are going to work in peers, in between. How will be this work?
Yeah. So the way it works is we have a group of people in the class, but then what we do is, and I don't know how many you know, supervisors will have in this program, but what typically do is that between the sessions, there are either small groups or pairs of people that are working, and there is some specific work that we give out, you know, in the session that you can do between. So for example, just to give a specific example, in the first module, when we are together, we are going to look at success factor modeling and the circle of success, and, you know, how it applies to mindset. So then, yes, exactly. So that sort of theory, and then we'll be focusing on the mindset aspect of that a lot. And then what happens is we also do a lot of demonstration coaching, where maybe I coach and then you coach each other. And then what we do is between the next session, which is going to be more focused on the process, and this session, which is more focused on the theory, you know, there is some extra coaching work that you might want to do. So then you would do it in pairs, or you would work in a small group. So we always design a little bit around the specific people who are in the course, because there could be different backgrounds, but there is work in between the modules as well.
Yeah, so we have somebody to ask if we have questions, and
correct. Yeah. So we have usually research people as well as peers that you can work with.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Yeah. So what other questions does anyone have? Let me go to another view. Again, you could put questions into the chat, or you could ask your questions. I don't know if there are any other questions right now from anyone. What time zone? Yeah, so let me do something. So in terms of time zones, these are suitable for, hold on, let me just find the page. So the way we designed it is that it's suitable for, America and Europe mostly. It's a little harder for people in Asia, but we've had a group that was specifically for Asian people, and also we've had Asian people who got up very early, which we appreciated very much. But the timing is basically, hold on, let me try and share my screen in a second. Yes, it's here. So the timing is 7 p.m. Central European time and 1 p.m. Eastern time and 10 a.m. Pacific time. Right. So in the US, it's kind of afternoon, and it's Fridays and Saturdays. I think all of them. So June 24th, 25th, we are starting. So it's a Friday, and we are starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central European time. So I don't know where you are, but you probably can calculate that. I don't know where you are, Arlene.
I'm from Romania, so.
That was you asking, because I
No.
have. No, because I have, Sao Paulo, Brazil, right? Yeah, that was someone else asking the question, but it's in the chat. Yeah, so right now I don't know what time it is in Sao Paulo, but it would probably be easy to look it up. And then, there's the question of considering, so we are working on the accreditation. It's not currently yet accredited by ICF as yet. I think it's a good step for us to take. It will happen. At this point, what we're seeing is that ICF probably succeeded in becoming one of the most important organizations around coaching, but you also have EMCC, which is the European version of it. And if you're ICF accredited, you're not EMCC accredited. So it's kind of not an easy choice for us. But we've started putting together documentations. We're not there yet. Does anyone have any other questions? We are kind of at the end of our announced time. So, I want to thank you for being here. And, if you're interested in more, there are many ways of finding out more. I think we'll be organizing these workshops regularly. If you go, we have a page called simply just Mindset Maps International.com, right? So that's one website, and then through that you can reach our blog, where we have articles, for example, about the entrepreneur mindset that we discussed today, but also many other things. And you can also reach the web app. So, there are buttons on the pages to take the inventory. So you could take the inventory as well and experience it. And if you have any questions or, more specific things that you want to discuss, or you need help, or you have questions about the certification, then, office@mindsetmaps.com is an email that reaches us and me. So I would be happy to respond to any of that.